Hey, Pastor Steve Waldron here, New Life Pentecostal Church, Albany, Georgia. Just sharing some jokes, some good, clean Christian humor I've heard over the years. This is about the famous Nate the Snake joke. The famous Nate the Snake joke. Been going around for decades. But up in North Dakota, there was a farmer out on his field and his wife had died. He was a widower. And so there he is on his 640 hectare farm, and he is just going down the rows of wheat, the endless roads, the endless sky, big sky country, beautiful up there. And then all of a sudden, while he's out in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the day here, he says, "Hey," and the farmers are startled because there is literally nobody within miles of him. And he hears, "Hey, hey," and he's like, "What in the world?" And he says, "Hey, it's me." And so the farmer, he stops his tractor and he starts looking around saying, "Who in the world is talking?" He says, "Me, it's Nate the Snake." He says, "Nate the Snake? Snakes can't talk." He said, "Somehow I had a genetic defect and I can talk." He said, "It's me, Nate the Snake." He said, "I'm lonely up here. There's almost no other snakes up in North Dakota. And I noticed you're lonely here too. You must be. You're up here all by yourself." He said, "Could we just become friends?" The farmer's like, "No, I kill snakes. I'm not going to become friends with you." He says, "Look," he says, "I'm a calm snake." He said, "I'm a nice snake." He says, "I don't hurt anybody." He said, "I just need a friend." He said, "We could be friends to each other." He said, "You come down here, grab me by the tail, and I'll show you." And so the farmer John, he's like, "Well, a talking snake, this is weird. And my wife has died, so the worst thing that could happen is the snake bites me and I'll go be with my wife." So he reaches down there and he grabs the snake by the tail, and all of a sudden Nate just puts his head on Farmer John's shoulder and he says, "See, I just want a buddy. I just want a friend." And so Farmer John hops up and they start talking. You know, they had a lot to talk about. Nate the Snake wanted to find out what it was like to be a human as they're, plowing and going along on that tractor. And Farmer John wanted to know what it's like to be a snake and what it's like to be a talking snake. They went in the house. They had the best time. He figured out what Nate the Snake ate, and Nate the Snake kept all the little rodents out from the house and everything. And they just became best of buddies. Well, one day they're out on the farthest end of their field, and Farmer John's field, and Nate sees a lever there. And man, they had become inseparable best buddies. And so Nate says, "Hey, Farmer John, what is that lever on the other side of the field over there?" Farmer John says, "Nate, don't do anything with that lever. Don't." And what had happened is the U.S. Air Force had put a lever there, and that was one of their Minutemen nuclear warhead silos. And if you pulled that lever, that nuclear missile was going to go off. And so Farmer John says, "Nate, you can't do anything about that lever. Just get it out of your mind." He said, "I know how curious you are. Just stop." And so they go on a little bit further, and then Nate would bring up that lever. They'd go on a little bit further, Nate would bring up that, and Farmer John say, "Nate, stop." So finally, Nate couldn't take it anymore, Nate the Snake, and he says, "Oh, well, Farmer John, I've got to just run out to those woods real quick." And he jumps off the tractor and he starts heading towards that lever. And so Farmer John says, "Nate!" And so Farmer John's going with the tractor and Nate's slithering out towards that lever. And Farmer John is going. And all of a sudden they're getting closer and closer to that lever. It's just the convergence point is right there. And all of a sudden Nate springs and leaps towards that lever. And right as he does, Farmer John takes him out with that tractor, runs him over, and cuts his little friend all to shreds with that tractor. It's a sad story, and Farmer John was so sad from losing his friend, but he had saved the world in doing it. And you know what the moral of the story is? It's better Nate than lever. God bless you. I'll talk with you later in Jesus' name.